So welcome everyone. It is Tuesday, September 28th. Welcome to the Sullivan General Meeting. So tonight we're going to talk about earthquake. That's our topic. We've got some fun things. And let's first start with some brief reports. Brief report on CERT, or Liz, would you like to give a brief report?
Sure. As was mentioned earlier, indirectly, as of right now, we don't know what the status is for Halloween and whether we're providing any support for the trick-or-treaters. The organization that usually organizes this has not gotten back to me. I have made additional phone calls, but I still have gotten no response. But one individual I spoke to, and she said she would get back to me when she knew. So that's working along. I just don't have an answer yet. I haven't been able to get an answer from Chief Gray either. So if I'm doing what I can to find out. So if there are those of you who have traditionally worked that event, I'd appreciate your being available again as soon as I know. But anyway, I'm doing what I can. So I think I definitely should know by the first week in October, which will give us 3 weeks to put something together. Given that we've done it in the past, I don't think that's going to be a problem. Also, November 6th, Felton area call out will be a joint call out with Scotts Valley, Bonnie Doon, and Boulder Creek. So we're planning something at MCR that's going to involve some hands-on. So that will be an in-person event unless some other thing proves to take it down. But that is what we're planning on. So those of you of only one here, when I know that John and I are working on the content right now. So anyway, and also lastly, this is a public service announcement. There is currently COVID testing taking place at MCR on on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday now, all day. There is a state-sponsored program operating out of our parking lot. So if you know anybody who needs tested to get in school or to do any of that, this is a free event. I'm not sure what the turnaround time is or anything, but it is something that taxpayer money is going towards to provide this service to folks in the Valley. No immunizations, just testing at this point. So anyway, that's it.
All right. So as mentioned, the topic this evening is earthquake, and we've got some good stuff to talk about. October is the Great Shakeout month, so we're going to talk about a few things, refresh our memory about what we should do about earthquakes, look at what it looks like for our area for probability. We're going to I found some interesting information on some science related to forecasting ruptures in California. I'm going to talk about a cool citizen science project, and we're going to also enjoy some videos of having to do with shake tables. And so that'll be real fun for us.
That nothing is going to come down in the studio here.
And it is going for quite a bit, everybody. It continues
this is a very strong
to rattle
earthquake.
pretty strong here.
8:21 here on the air. We're experiencing very strong shaking. Wow. I think we need to get under the desk.
All right, we're going to go to break. We'll be right back after this. Wow.
Uh-oh.
Everyone get under their tables.
I went under my table. Did it stop? Is it safe? Am I coming back up now?
This is KM6. RMN listening. Is this frequency in use? Shall I establish a net, or is there already one established?
AK6NNB here. I just got on myself. Take it away, Allison.
This is Allison, KM6 RMN in Felton, establishing a controlled net in Santa Cruz County for the purpose of assessing damage and severity of a recent earthquake at 7:18 p.m. on September 28th. Please check in with your call sign, first name, location, and damage level on the Mike or modified Mercalli scale. Let me explain that very briefly. If you didn't feel much of anything, you say Mike 1. Mike 2 is for a weak, sort of rocking. Mike 3 is fairly weak. You could feel the motion. Mike 4 was light. Mike 5 is moderate. Things like objects have kind of changed orientation. Mike 6 is a strong earthquake where furniture is moving. Mike 7 is very strong. You might see some fragile structures falling or chimneys cracking. And Mike 8 is severe, chimneys collapsing or furniture falling over. Okay, I will be listening now. Please check in with your name, location, and severity of on the Mike scale.
Net control. This is Liz in Felton, W6LTS. My experience here is that it was fairly light, so I would say it's a Mike 4. Some stuff did rock, but nothing fell. Pets freaked out. And I think that's all you need, right?
Correct. All I really need is the number. Thank you very much.
Mike 4.
Anyone else out there?
Yeah, this is Mikhail, KK6NNB South Felton. Whew, we just had a bit of a ride. We're all gathered in the road between two houses. There's some broken windows and some really upset little kids. We haven't gotten around to doing full inspection here. I'd give it probably a 5+ where we are.
Okay, I've noted you down as a Mike 5. Is there anyone else out there?
Net control N6RJX.
Go ahead, N6RJX.
N6RJX, downtown Felton, Mike 4, N6RJX.
Got that, N6RJX. I have or Mike 4. Anyone else out there?
Net control, this is Kilo Oscar 6 X-ray X-ray.
Go ahead, Kilo Oscar Kilo Oscar 6 X-ray X-ray.
I've got Mike 5.
Okay, I copied Mike 5. Is there anyone else out there?
Net control, this is KK6LJX, Tammy in Felton. And I registered maybe a Mike 4 to 5 had several things moving around on my desk. A book fell off my desk. Dishes were rattling. That's about it.
Okay, with things falling off your desk, I will put it in the 5 range. Thank you very much. Any more reports?
Hey, Net Control, this is Barney calling in from Roachport. Holy cow, did you just feel that one? I swear my coffee table done galloped across the room and my gun cabinet fell and there's glass all over everywhere. We're calling that a 6 to a 7 down here in Roachport. This is Barney, FT6 WTF.
Thanks, Barney, W6FTF. I'm going to put that down as Davenport. Thank you
It's
very
Roach.
much.
It's actually Roachport. I can spell it out for you if you like.
All right. Where is that near in Santa Cruz County?
It's not. I'm not too far from Jefferson City, Missouri. I just happened upon your net.
Got it. You really felt it out there. Maybe it's the big one. Thanks very much. I'll make a note of that. Anyone else out there? Anyone else with the report?
I could just barely hear you. This is AB6 43 EFE, and I'm over in San Jose. My name's Elizabeth, and we felt it over here pretty good. I would say it's probably a 3 or 4.
Okay, did you have any movement of objects?
No, but the animals freaked out and I freaked out. I could feel it. Things moved, they stayed in place, but they moved.
Got it. I'm going to put you down as a Mike 3 then. Is there anyone else out there who felt it and could give me a report?
This is Carrie at AB6 LOL in Scotts Valley. I would give it a Mike 4.
Mike 4 acknowledged. Thank you very much. Is there anyone else out there?
This is Jim, KI6EWH.
Go ahead, Jim, KI6EWH.
Well, I was hiking by the old Loma Prieta sign and couldn't believe it. We were having a earthquake just like before. Classified as an MM7. KI6EWH.
Okay, I've got you down as an MM7. Very interesting. We have a pattern emerging here. MM7 in Loma Prieta, and we've also got one in Roachport in Missouri. So this is very interesting. Okay, is there anyone else out there who has a report? Anyone else? Last call. Nothing heard. I will now change over to a resource net. I'll take messages until someone with a better reach or Office of Response Recovery and Resilience takes over. Please notify me if there are any other nets or activity happening in nearby repeaters. This is Allison, KM6 RMN Net Control.
All right, that was awesome, Allison. Thank you for that. And for the benefit of the rest of you on in this meeting, this was a planned exercise that we wanted to do to show you what we expect would happen locally by the activity of our local hams spontaneously responding to such an event like an earthquake here in our area, and to give you the feeling of the sound of what it would be like to experience a net started by one of the hams to gather information from everyone in the area. Now, Dan sharing your screen, is that right, Dan? You want to describe that?
This is a form that Allison was filling out. Allison, you want to talk about it?
Yeah, it's a basic form to, we're not looking for really granular information. What we're trying to do is get a general assessment of where the worst damage is so that we can report it to agencies as to where to focus their attention. So basically what I was doing was putting down hash marks in a grid and noticing that, the MM7s tended to be in one area or another. And once you've got a lot of reports that way, you can, let's say, if I got in contact with somebody at OR3, I'd say, hey, there are a lot of MM6s and 7s over in Glenwood. It looks like that's where you need to concentrate your attention. Got out MM1s and 2s over in Felton, so I don't think we're in such a great need. Usually this is collected in addition to doing just regular chatter. I might do a Mike 6 at the very beginning, but then as we have a resource net, which is basically just people getting together saying, I need this, I need that, we would say, by the way, do you have a Mike report? And I would just note it down and keep it on hand to report to anyone in authority who needs to know what's going on.
I want to add something to that.
Sure.
The person, if it's you, if this was a real deal,
Mm-hmm.
the person that you might want to share that information with would be Chief Gray.
Mm-hmm.
So
Of Felton Fire particularly.
yes.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's where most of this was coming from, was the Felton area. And so that would be helpful to him. So
yeah.
So, all right. Any I'll take any questions or comments from anyone if you'd like. You can unmute.
Now I have to switch hats and take notes.
Oh, thank you, Ollie.
All right. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed that. A little bit of fiction, but gives you maybe a little sense of what might happen with from our volunteer amateur radio folks. So,
well, and it's also something we could conceivably do with MERS radios for Felton. So for those of you that have MERS radios, maybe something we need to plan is how we would handle radio traffic in the Felton area, Scotts Valley, however far we can reach with MERS radios. So, done.
Thank you. All right, I'm going to share my screen and hide the video thumbnail. Got a bunch of all right. So I just wanted to navigate to a few websites that are relevant to this evening. The first being shakeout.org is a website where a lot of the organization for October's event happens. So we are talking about this subject in advance of next month. So October 21 is the date for Shakeout. Of course, Shakeout, the Great California Shakeout, was an idea that came after the Loma Prieta earthquake. I believe the date was October 17, 1989. And so it's just become a big organizing thing where this event actually has the site has a lot of information, resource information about preparing for earthquakes, and also to literally participate in a drill on that day. And the idea is to get everyone to practice and be prepared for an earthquake, and to plan for a drill to hold, maybe that's in your workplace or school and so forth. And you can actually sign up to register your site as participating in the drill. And it's a way of just getting everyone together to think about being prepared and actually going through the exercise of practicing. And so there's some good information that that can be found on that website. Now, one of the pieces of information is recommended earthquake safety actions. I'm going to stop my share and then reshare again so I can pick up the document that I want in my other application. And this is a document by the Shakeout. And of course, the primary information that we want to remember is drop, cover, and hold on. So drop onto your hands and knees and stay low, crawl to shelter nearby, cover your head and neck with one arm or hand if you can. And if there's a sturdy table or desk nearby, crawl underneath it for the sheltering. Hold on until the shaking stops. Now, these are, of course, the basic guidelines, but what is also of note is some recommendations for other scenarios. So we would just briefly review this. So their recommendations with respect to indoors in particular is avoid exterior walls, windows, hanging objects, tall furniture, mirrors, large appliances, anything that has heavy objects that might get dislodged and hit you. And you need to get on the ground in order to be able to move throughout the building. Don't be standing up and trying to run across the building, because the concept is the shaking could cause you to fall down and you could hurt yourself that way. So if you are seated and unable to drop to the floor, they say bend forward, cover your head with your arms, and hold onto your neck with both hands. Now, if you know someone who is in a wheelchair, advice for them would be that they should lock their wheels, protect their head and neck with their arms, pillow, whatever's available. There's more information at the website earthquakecounty.org/disability for other recommendations.
It's country.
Thank you, earthquakecounty.org.
Yeah.
If you're in bed, they say do not get up out of bed. Instead, lie face down. Maybe grab your pillow and hold it over your head. Cover your, pinching it behind your head, holding it, covering your head and neck. And also, I think what they say is, in all of these cases, actually also is close your eyes and mouth while it's shaking so that you don't ingest any dust that might be happening during the earthquake. In a high rise, you don't want to use the elevators. Sprinkler systems or fire alarms might go off in large buildings, and so don't be surprised by that. In a classroom, students want to be taught what to do in the classroom. Be careful of classrooms that have labs or other contents which might also be possibly problematic, chemicals, that kind of chemistry lab, I think is what they're thinking about. If you are in a stadium, they just advise that you lean over in your seat and cover your head with your arms as best as possible. And afterwards, try to exit the stadium slowly and carefully. If you're in a store, get next to a shopping cart and anything else, maybe some racks that might provide extra protection. If you're outside, you want to be in as clear an area as you can, avoiding power lines, signs, vehicles, trees. Avoid buildings, windows of buildings, so they might spray glass. If you're driving, pull over to the side of the road, set a parking brake, stay inside the vehicle until the shaking stops, and proceed very carefully to avoid debris, damage to the road. But if power lines fall on your car, then you should probably safely stay inside your vehicle until you can know that the wires have been de-energized and it's safe to leave your car. And if you're near the shore, we also want to be careful about essentially tsunami danger. So you want to be able to move as quickly as possible to higher ground. And their recommendation here is walk rather than drive to avoid traffic. But getting to higher ground will help you avoid any potential tsunami wave that might develop shortly thereafter. Okay. And this is actually, I believe, a video that's embedded in the page. And now here is where I think I don't have the ability to share the audio on this, so it's basically just going to play without audio. But so this is basically showing an example of what it means to get down and cover your head with your arms. And in this case, person is moving towards a table nearby and similarly is holding onto the table.
Hey! Oh, I'm sorry.
And simultaneously protecting themselves from any other debris that might be falling. Okay. So that is your advice for there.
So that's the 21st of October, right?
Right. So the date of the shakeout event itself is Thursday, October 21st.
And the simulated earthquake is at 10:21 a.m.
Oh, okay.
Thanks for that.
A good time for the WinLink people to send in their did you feel it reports.
For
Okay.
those,
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, one of the things I used to do when I was working was, if it was convenient and I was at a space where I could talk to coworkers at that time, I would say something about, are y'all aware that right now is the great shakeout, and would you know what to do? And just have a 5 minutes of reminder with my coworkers about what they should do if they were, if an earthquake hit right then and there. And, you know, I didn't have to turn it into a big long thing, but just a reminder. And I sort of felt like that was enough, because these are people that were running all over the hospital, and they weren't thinking about earthquakes. So anyway, you could be done at home, could be done at wherever you are, if you feel inclined. So anyway.
Thank you for that. All right, I've got a few more things to share, some information that comes off of the, let's do this here, the Great Shakeout website. Some interesting pieces of data. So one is that they've got some probability maps, and this is one of them that's for the Bay Area. So it's got this great kind of rainbow colors, but the probability of shaking is red to pink is on the high end, and green is on the low end. I guess it almost comes at no surprise whatsoever to us that the Bay Area, you can see largely in the South Bay, is all pretty pink. So there's a pretty high probability of shaking. And Santa Cruz here is down at the bottom of the map. Let's see, looks like I can zoom in on it a little bit. So, you know, perhaps some part of the Santa Cruz mountain range here is, I guess I suppose that's because it's the quality of the rock in the mountains, that there's some less shaking, but so we've got our fair share of pink. Let's see, I have to move this. I've got a screen control in my way. Okay. They have a map of the historical epicenters. Again, some of this is comes as no surprise to us who live here. 7.8 in 1906, centered in San Francisco. Here, just above to the right of Santa Cruz, is the Loma Prieta quake of 1989. It was a 6.9. It's quite interesting to see some of these other historical dates that I wasn't necessarily aware of from the 1800s in this map. I'm sure nobody thinks it's surprising whatsoever that we have so many earthquakes indicated on this map. There is a very interesting new app that is out, and this is there are some ways to get warnings of an earthquake. So there is a new, I believe it's fairly new, an earthquake warning system for California that is using ground system monitoring. So there's several tools, and one of them is called MyShakeApp. And then there's also Android, for the Android phones, an earthquake alert, and wireless emergency alerts. How would you say that acronym? WEA? WEA. So there's information here in the, and this is earthquake.ca.gov has this information. So the wireless emergency alerts, this information, you have to scroll down to do it. I'm sure that these have, let's see, I guess okay, so what they're saying is the WEA is sent out by the local officials and or by presidential alerts, and they are sent out as messages, I think, automatically to your phones. This doesn't discuss how you receive them, except that it may be automatic to your devices. The second is this an app that's called MyShakeApp, and this one is quite interesting. It's intended to look at ground motion sensors to detect an earthquake that is either imminent to you or and provide you a warning, and also gathers data from people's mobile devices if you have the app running. We're going to look at a video about that momentarily. And finally, it looks like there's a special Android alert for those of you who have Android phones, based on some work with Google. System uses the same data feed to receive and distribute alerts as the Earthquake Warning California system does. So there's some information here on the page with some links of things you can do to read about these. Now, Dan, this is one of the videos that we've got that shows a little bit about the MyShakeApp. Would you be able to play that video for us?
Oh, okay. The first one I have is artificial neural networks. Is that it? Oh, yes. I'm sorry.
Yep, that's the one.
When we were young, we learned how to classify objects based on certain characteristics. We might have learned to classify by color, by texture, or by taste. Over time, as we were exposed to additional types
Dan,
of
could you make the volume a little louder?
Classification to take and allow us to better identify new objects that we're presented with. Computers do the same thing. Programs called artificial neural networks take inputs from all different sources and produce outputs in a structure that's intended to mimic the way the neurons in your brain learn.
Dan, one more interruption.
Here at the BSL, Ching Kai Kong is using neural networks as part of a citizen science project called MyShake. We'll have him explain how it works.
Hi, I'm Ching Kai. I'm a graduate student working at the Berkeley Seismology Lab. I'm working between data science and seismology to develop the algorithm to detect earthquakes from your smartphones in the MyShake project. And currently the MyShake algorithms using an approach that try to mimic the thinking of your brain. This is we call like artificial neural network approach. So these algorithms that have the ability to distinguish human activities from the earthquakes on your phone. How we do that? So we actually use your phone to record the signals like your movements from using the accelerometers inside the smartphones. And then we can extract the features from it. As the example you just heard from the apple and the orange. So we can extract the features like how fast you run and how strong your movement is. And then compare that with the earthquakes. These features give us the best characterization of the different type of motions. And then the phones will memorize these features. And then in the future, if it's experiencing any type of movement, it will tell whether this is an earthquake or this is a human activities. Whenever the phone detects something like an earthquake, and then it sends the message back to the server, and at the server, we can aggregate the information from multiple smartphones within a small region. And then this way we can confirm that an earthquake is occurring. So this is the principle for how we use smartphones to detect earthquakes in MyShake project.
All right, cool. Thanks, Dan. Yeah, so I don't know if that was too difficult to understand, but the point behind the MyShake app is that it's aggregates the data from your devices. If your device has downloaded the app, then your device essentially will or can automatically participate in the collection of data from your device and aggregate it so that the scientists can look at the aggregate data and feed that into their AI algorithms and help develop better models for detecting and reporting earthquakes, which sounds super cool to me. Gwen, you've got your hand raised.
I've had that app on my phone for, gosh, I don't know, a long time anyway. And just a word of caution, there's lots of little earthquakes that we have, and it'll be going off continually but you can go into settings and set it to not do it until it's like a 5 or something that's going to be that you need to pay attention to, because it'll just run your battery down. It's crazy how many there are.
Super interesting. Great feedback. Thank you. Jo Marie?
I have had the same experience. I've had it since 2019, and I was just looking up, and they have over 1 million users enrolled in this application already, but only 100,000 who have actually provided experience reports. So there's a little small numbers participating. They have it on their phone. I think because it was sold, it would give you earthquake warning. But as Gwen experienced, the Sierra Mountains were shaken and we were getting notices here. And so, of course, Facebook lit up like a candle, about that. Oh, there's an earthquake. No, you got to look at the location. So, yeah, you got to kind of know your app or kind of get to know it. And there are some settings, but it's pretty not specific enough to what your needs may be. So just be aware of that.
Thank you.
On MyShakeApp that I have, it's the lowest setting is 3.5. So probably why I haven't ever had it. It shows me earthquakes that have happened locally, but it's never gone off.
Yeah, it doesn't alert you. And I set mine at 5 just because it was way too crazy and I wasn't even feeling them. So
Be kind of fun though. I mean, told that there was a small earthquake coming.
Well, one of them were, it was one of those alert sounds, and it was like 10 o'clock at night, got me upright in bed trying to go, okay, what's going on and thing. And then it says pending or standby for pending earthquake. So of course I had time to get down on the ground and then come to find out it was in the Sierras. And I thought I had it tightened down like Gwen too, but no, it came across. So
it was where?
In the Sierras. It was when it was having those tremblers over in Tahoe area.
Oh, okay.
So I was just shocked to get this alert, because I thought, uh-oh.
So awesome. Okay, great.
So I guess the moral of that story is set it low so you know what the alert sounds like, and then set it high so it doesn't drive you crazy.
Excellent. All right. Let's see. Got another thing to share with you. All right. So this is a link that is off of the Shakeout site. This is Southern California Earthquake Center website, where they have an article that talks about a Rupture Forecast study that was done in 2017. But I wasn't aware of it before. It seems fairly interesting. So the acronym here is UCERF3. I don't know how you say these acronyms. USERF USURF-3. So this is a model of earthquake occurrence in California. And it is trying to tell us where and when the earth might slip along fault lines. And it involves a ground motion prediction model. It was developed by a working group in 2014, led by U.S. Geological Survey. And basically, here's some of what is interesting about the USURF-3 as study goes. They've basically recognized that faults are not isolated, they're part of a fault system. And so the USURF-3 model includes the possibility of multi-fault ruptures. And so it's a more of a systems level approach, and they have their forecasting rate, they believe, is more in line with the observed rate of earthquakes in nature. And that's an improvement over prior models. They do use supercomputers to try to look at a large number of models in this study. They noticed that there is a tendency of tectonic stress to reaccumulate on a fault. They call it the Reed's elastic rebound theory. So faults are more likely to rupture where tectonic stress is built up on a lot of years without an earthquake. And faults are less likely to rupture when a recent earthquake has occurred. So what are their major findings? So the USURF-3 said a moderate-sized earthquake, magnitude 6.5 to 7.5, is actually lower, while the likelihood of larger events is higher. And that's because of accounting for the multiple nearby faults together creating a larger earthquake. So what's interesting is that, so magnitude 6.7, the size of the Northridge quake in Southern California, has gone down by 30%. The magnitude of an 8 or larger in the next 30 years has increased and is estimated by USURF-3 at 7%. I wasn't aware of that distinction previously. Here in Southern California, greater increase in likelihood of larger earthquakes in the LA area specifically. Northern California, San Andreas Fault, lower likelihood of hosting an earthquake compared to Southern San Andreas, partly because of the 1906 earthquake, considered recent on that fault. So that is a little bit of my read on this article that I would share with you. I thought that was particularly interesting, the subtlety of the distinction of the magnitude of the quake and what its likelihood is. We've got a couple of fun videos. If you like to watch things shake, you'll really like this. So Dan, can we work on those the 2 shake videos?
Mm-hmm.
We have been working for many decades to improve the performance of structures under seismic loading. This is a collaborative project with the Japanese research team that has been conducting a large-scale shake table test at the defense facility. They have been conducting a full-scale test on 2 3-story wood structures typical of urban environments in Tokyo.
E-Defense is the largest 3D shake table in the world to conduct full-scale tests on buildings. You can have a whole building with every detail. You can subject the building to a real recorded earthquake.
The ultimate goal for this project would be that the decision maker, including like a designer, engineer, or homeowner, or a policymaker, would be to better understand the interplay between every single component into a residential unit, including structural, non-structural components and lifelines. We have the unique opportunity to work with a diverse team, including structural engineers who have worked a lot in their career on the global performance of wood residential infrastructure, structural engineers who have worked on non-structural components, including pipelines, as well as a geotechnical engineer. This diverse group of researchers has the opportunity of evaluating the performance of the buildings to identify the interplay of the various components to the structural performance and restoration of the buildings.
The other goal we have is to use this information to decrease the recovery time duration after the disasters.
Okay, thanks. So that was a short one about a school shake table. I've got another video. It's quite a bit longer, so we're just going to play an excerpt from it, the more exciting excerpts from it. But this is a video of what is called LH Post, or Large High Performance Outdoor Shake Table, and it is in UC San Diego. And Dan, if you play that one, try to start at about around 4 minutes 20. Yeah, right from there.
Trying to find this. There we go.
Performed on the LH Post thus far, only 2 could have been performed on the second largest shake table in the U.S. Furthermore, at least 4 projects could not have been performed on the largest shake table in the world in Japan due to height restrictions. Because of its full-scale, system-level dynamic testing capabilities, use of the LH Post circumvents the problems related to inaccurate boundary conditions and scaling. An additional distinguishing feature is its payload capacity of 2,000 tons, allowing the LH Post to be used in combination with large soil boxes. This enables the seismic testing of geotechnical systems, such as underground structures, bridge abutments, and earth retaining walls. The heaviest specimen tested on the LH Post thus far weighed 1,000 tons, representing only half of the table payload capacity. The LH Post is particularly useful for conducting tests of components and systems at large or at full scale when material constitutive relationships show sensitivity to size or strain rate effects, or when off-the-shelf commercial products are incorporated as primary components in the test. In this test, 2 bridge columns seen from the top of the large confinement soil box are responding to an earthquake by having their footings rock on the soil compacted inside the soil box. The soil box was outfitted with a bladder, and water was added to the soil to simulate realistic conditions where the water table sits just below the foundation of a structure. This test of a retaining wall with soil backfill performed in a laminar soil shear box allowed researchers to investigate the soil failure mechanism behind the wall at full scale. This half-scale landmark experiment tested a 4-story building specimen equipped with an innovative floor anchorage system that reduced the inertial forces during an earthquake, minimizing structural damage and maintaining a plumb, vertical configuration of the building at the end of the earthquake. This seismic test of a half-scale precast concrete parking garage investigated the complex system behavioral modes of precast concrete building structures and especially their floor diaphragms. This allowed for the development of high-fidelity nonlinear finite element models, which were used to develop seismic design provisions that will be incorporated in the 2016 edition of the ASCE 7 standards. This experiment also illustrates the possibility of testing structural specimens with a footprint significantly larger than the size of the shake table platen, using outrigger arms sliding on low-friction bearings. This test of a wind turbine standing over 100 feet tall demonstrates how this outdoor facility with no overhead height limitations enables the testing of taller specimens than is possible on any other shake table in the U.S. and the world. This full-scale 4-story wood frame building provided a system-level test to validate the effectiveness of building evaluation and retrofit techniques that are currently being implemented in more than 6,000 buildings as part of San Francisco's mandatory soft-story retrofit program. Because of the unique capabilities that the LH Post and SSI facilities offer, strong industry engagement is typical of many test programs at the facility. The involvement of practicing engineers and code-writing committees who play a key role in using and disseminating the research findings to industry will transform the state of practice. The impact of NARI at UC San Diego will extend beyond engineering practice. We will provide enhanced outreach activities in an effort to recruit K-12 students from diverse backgrounds into STEM fields. The research, education, and
that's all we need.
outreach plans at NARI at UC San.
All right, how was that? Did you enjoy that?
That's fun.
I wouldn't want to be on that wind turbine by any means.
I was going to say they should sell tickets, you know.
Yeah.
You could be on the garage, but you still have a tether, so if the thing fell down, you.
Yeah, definitely an e-ticket.
Yeah.
Does anybody know if they're actually involving people in the buildings, or is it, you know?
Oh,
I just have measurements.
I don't think so.
It would be too dangerous.
Well, again, as long as you were suspended from above with a harness and tied off, if the building collapses, you'll just end up hanging.
It did look like that.
Possibly around your neck, but other than that.
It did look like they had the crane there to catch the turbine if it fell apart.
Mm-hmm.
Just like that wood structure building was confined by those steel building catchers.
All right, I've got one more thing to share. This is, again, was a link that came off of the Great Shakeout site. And so this is California Residential Mitigation Program. Some information about strengthening your home. What is interesting about this site is they've got some specific information about potential structures that we have in our homes for and what you can learn about helping to strengthen your home's foundation or other things such as chimneys and fireplaces for earthquakes. So I thought this was a pretty neat thing. Let's just say, okay, I've got raised foundation, steps up to the first floor. Let's see what they say if you've got a raised foundation house. So they've got the main part of this. They're describing first what this is. So in this case, raised foundation house, a continuous foundation where the wood floor is supported directly on concrete stem walls, or a continuous foundation where the wood floor is supported on wood frame walls called cripple walls that extend from the concrete foundation, which is lower, up to the bottom of the first floor, or a continuous foundation with both stem walls and cripple walls. And my home has some of this. So they've got some pictures about, these are retrofit projects is what they're describing about how to help you retrofit your house to have better structural support So they've got these, the description above, for example, foundation anchor bolts installed in the walls, plywood bracing, nailed plywood sheathing to the inside of the walls that surround the crawl space, and these nice before and after pictures. They have some cost benefit analysis and some references to materials so that you can understand what, from a planning perspective, how to literally go after maybe taking on that kind of work yourself. And you can go and then navigate to like a different style of foundation. Like my house has 2 different styles. Again, similar information, what things might look like without proper structural support, like a concrete pier and a wood post above it, and what it should look like afterwards. And again, similar information, what it might cost you, and some resources.